Hey guys, it's Kate and I hope you're having a great day. I am back with my art prompts that I made myself, printed, laminated, and cut and put in this beautiful high fashion pencil box from the Dollar Tree. I think, maybe Walmart, but it would cost me about $1. Anyway, I made these at home and they are things that I tend to they're supplies that I have, things that I want to try to do, and it's just for exercises for art. Recently, I posted a video where I made 8 different abstract paintings. And this time I wanted to redo it with 6 sheets that are a little bit larger, but this time I wanted to use my art prompts. So I want to pull maybe 5 prompts and see where we can go from there, but just get started. The only thing I think I'm not going to do today is collage. So if I happen to pull a collage prompt, I'm going to put that back and pull another one. But I think as far as I know, everything else will be up for grabs. So I'm working today on Artist Loft watercolor paper. It is comes from my pad that's 6 by 9 inch, and I cut each one in half. So this is 3 sheets of paper. They're already cut and taped down and gessoed. So it's a nice thick paper, and even if you don't use it for watercolor, it's great for mixed media projects like this. So let's get started with our first prompt. Okay, keyword serene. So I am going to think on that. When I think serene, I think greens and blues, and I think of like nature. Basically, you go out there and you just relax, you enjoy the outdoors, the scenery, the birds. So I'm going to go maybe with some greens and blues for the first prompt. Okay, I have these out. I think these 2 colors are beautiful, but they're also fun, and we're coming up into spring and summer, but they also are kind of serene. So let's see what we can do with these. And I think I'm going to use my silicone spreader and get a nice thin layer so they dry quickly. So I'm going to snap open that and put it directly on my silicone, and I am just going to start making a line that's very thin. And I'm just going to start putting this over my paper. And I might make some different marks and leave some of that texture that's beautiful. Put some more on my brush, and we'll just keep on going. And I want to keep it thin so it dries quickly and that I can finish this project without having to wait a really long time for things to dry. Okay, let's do a couple of dashes. And I've got a little bit of paint left on my spatula. Maybe I'll just kind of, ooh, I like that. I'm just cleaning off my silicone brush, and there we are. All right. And these art prompts can be whatever you want them to be. It's up to your interpretation, and you can do whatever you like. So I'm going in with this lime green from Liquitex Basics, and this is brand new. I have never used this yet. So it looks like a transparent color, but it's got a really neat, ooh, that is really nice and bright. And I'm just kind of going through here. Oh, that's pretty. I'm just kind of going over it with my shaper because a little goes a long way with these. And so I'm just going to kind of play around with marks. Let it kind of mix with that turquoise, like that maybe. I'll add a little bit more. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. And let's just color. Ooh, I like that effect. Look at that. their little edges are still wet, so it's dragging through that turquoise and blending it, but it's a neat texture. That's cool. Okay. Add a few little lines here, just like that. Maybe we'll just add a little bit to that one. And right here. And I'm going to put this into the turquoise more. So we have a bit of a mark there. And I'm just putting a little tiny bit on this tool. It really does a great job spreading. All right. All right, now I'm just basically cleaning off my brush. This is my brush cleaning square, I guess. On to the next prompt. Dry brush. All right. You know what I might do? I'm going to take some of this titanium white here and do a dry brush with that. Okay. I'm just going to put it right on my brush. What the heck? Until I get it dirty. I'm going to have to use my plate. And I'm just going to put a little dab there, or a medium dab, and do some dry brushing. I'm going to kind of get it in here, just like that. And it spreads out that green more too. It's almost like adding a little bit of texture to that paper. And who cares what this looks like? We're just having fun. Can't mess it up. It's funny because when you first start, it's like, oh man, this looks kind of ugly. And then things just sort of come together. I don't know. The last couple of projects I've done, I've just really enjoyed how they turned out. And it wasn't anything that I was expecting or planning. It was just, you know, you put on enough paint and something happens. And you finally can start to pinpoint what you want. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more here. And maybe come across some of these areas. I like starting with some mark making, and I guess this background kind of, you know, lends itself to that. They're just some larger marks. Okay. Why don't we do a little dry brush circle there? And maybe a little hash mark. Hashtag abstract art. And grab another prompt from our little bin. Our little dollar bin. By the way, if you want to download these and print them out and cut them for yourself to do some art projects, they're available on my website. I just got it running, so if you're interested, you can just go right there and download them. There's no sign up, no cost or anything. All right, keyword clouds. Man, I'm getting keywords a lot. Okay, I told myself I would do some stuff with ink today. I wasn't kidding when I said I had a lunch tray. Now, where's my rose pink? Okay. Let me move that out of the way. I'm going to make some pink clouds. And I'm going to get this brush, I think. And I'm going to put this ink. This is pretty opaque. And it will, I think, knock back some of that blue. But we can just add some nice color. I'm going to make a cloudy mix, and that'll be my interpretation of that prompt. And like I said, it's anything you want. So I'm going to make not so much cloud shapes, but just a cloudy look. So you can see, I guess it is a little bit cloud shapes, huh? You can see how it kind of covers up some of this area. And I like that with the blue and the green. I'm going to get kind of thick here and just kind of come in down here at the bottom and leave that just like that. And I'm going to come in here and just make these sort of abstract marks. And it'll be kind of like clouds. I'm going to need some more ink, I think. Okay, and maybe we'll have a little bit coming in here. And coming off of there. What do we think? This one I'll just make more like strokes. I'm going to need some more pink. Seem to be using a lot. Okay. I really love this rose pink because it's such a subtle color, but it brightens things up and it's sort of opaque, so it really helps, I don't know, just kind of cover things up, bring them to the back, but you can still see some detail coming through it. So I'm gonna come in here and do some little crescents. Why not? That's sort of like the edges of a cloud, right? And maybe a little mark there. And these prompts are just to get you going. You don't have to, religiously follow them. It's just something to get your creative juices flowing. I'm going to take that all the way down. But I don't want it to be like just a center mark. So I'm going to come out here to the side. And let's even come down here to the edge. And maybe I'll even join up from there. Like that. This one is sort of becoming my favorite. I don't really know why, but I really love it so far. Okay, let's do a little one there. I've got a little bit of pink left on my plate and I don't want to waste it, so I am going to go over some of this area up here that's partly dry and just make it a little bit more opaque. Bring up that opacity a bit with a second coat. Just like that. And then maybe a little bit here too. Yeah. And I think that's about it for my plate. That's 3 prompts. I've got 2 to go. We'll take a look at where we are and then see if we want to do more prompts or just finish these up. Okay. Oh, keyword, minimalism. I'm just drawing the keywords today. I don't even have that many. I think there's like 80 prompts or 84 prompts or something like that. And maybe 15 of them are keywords. But I'm just pulling all of them today. Okay, so minimalism. I think for minimalism, I'm going to do some tiny marks. And I'm going to grab my fine liner. It's a little bit of a brush tip. And I think that'll add some really interesting contrast here. I'm going to maybe go through some of my ink. I think most of it is pretty dry, and this is a pretty old pen. So I'm going to grab it from the end and just kind of make some little meandering marks. And I might follow along a little bit of these mark areas that already exist, but I'm going to come right off the page. Now, the nice thing about this brush tip is I can press in some areas and make some pretty interesting effects. And then I can also go very light. And I'm going to come off the page, and I'm going to keep these marks minimal. And thicken it up there a little bit. And come off the page. Let's start over here. And maybe I'll have one coming up into here. And why don't we come up out of the bottom for this one? Just like that. And let's come out of here. Let's press a little bit and get a darker mark. And have it come right out there. This almost looks like little eyeballs or glasses looking at me. So I'm going to add just a little bit of something else there. That way my art's not looking back. Okay. Minimalism, check. One little line in each square. Add dots. Ooh, that's one of my favorites. I am going to grab a Posca pen. Let's see what we got here. I've got this pink, and it might be, ooh, it's close, but it is a little bit darker than that rose pink ink. So I think this will work kind of nicely to add some dots that go really nicely with our inks. I'm going to vary my sizes. These Posca pens are really great. And then I'll add, even when I go over my ink, you can still see it up close. And so that's a really neat look. But I'm also going to make sure I get some in this darker area so that we have a good amount of contrast going. And I think that looks really neat. So I'm going to put some kind of in here. Maybe for this one, I'll kind of follow along our minimalist ink line. Why not? And don't forget, or I won't forget, you can do whatever you like. I'm not going to forget to vary my dot sizes a bit. And I'm going to come right out here to the white and even go over some of that black. And for this one, I'm going to kind of stick semi close to my crescents. And maybe I'll make a couple of larger ones in here. And I'll come right out to this edge. Just like that. Okay. Let's keep big ones on this side and do fewer of them. There's nothing that says you can't have big dots. They don't have to be teeny tiny. And I'll even put it over this other pink. And some of that fine liner, the one I'm using, I don't think is very waterproof, or it may not be dry yet, so it's kind of changing the color a little bit on a couple of these, but I kind of like that. All right, I'm going to make one larger one here. I like that. Okay, how about let's do one here. I'm going to make a big dot and color that in. And I'm just going to kind of alternate it. I'm going to wipe my marker off a little bit. I think I got into a little bit of that blue, so. And do another one there. Yes. And these ones will be a little bit more scribbly. And I have that kind of big one there, so I'm going to bring one in up here, just like that. And maybe one right here. So we have an odd number. Maybe here too, I'll add another big one there. And let's add a couple of little ones there. Perfect. I guess I did do 5. Okay, we've done serene, we've done dots, we've done clouds, we've done dry brush, and minimalism. So why don't we just choose one more and see where we are after that. All right, I've got my prompts. I'm going to grab another one, hopefully not another keyword. All right, find a curve and add a hard angle. Okay, I can do that. And I think what I'm going to do is add something neutral to this to tone it down when I add my hard line. Okay, I've got unbleached titanium and a little bit of Van Dyke brown, but I may actually mix this in with just a little bit of blue first and see how it goes. I'm going to put a little blob onto my plate and add just a little bit of the blue. It is a really strong color, so I'm not going to have to blend in very much to get it to mix. I'm just going to put a little bit on the tip and start with this and see how it looks. That looks kind of nice, actually. That's a nice color right there. It's almost like a gray blue. Okay, I think I can work with that. So I'm going to grab this brush with the angle tip, and I'm going to paint around some of this stuff and kind of knock it back. I'm going to get this excess paint off my palette knife and put that to the side and start going in with some color. And I'm going to block in around some of this area. And I don't really know why I started there, but that's where we're starting. And I might follow along with this line a bit. Oh no. And just see where it takes me. And maybe I'll add a little bit up here. And come around this pink circle a little bit. And why don't we join it up this way? And come around this circle here. Like that. And it looks a little heavy on that side, so I will just add a little bit down here and here. Okay, for this one, let's come right down here. And how about like that? I'm going to add a little bit of water to my plate to thin this out just a little bit. That way I'm not painting quite so thick. Oh shoot, I'm supposed to be adding hard angles, aren't I? Okay, let's start fresh. Here's my curve. There's my hard angle right there. Now we're cooking. Here's my curve. Let's add this hard angle. And let's add one here. Maybe one right here. How's that? All right, I don't really have any curves here except for my black line. So I'm going to come right in here and right down through here. And why don't we add another one here? Like that. I have a big curve here that's blue. So I can add this coming down. I've got this curve here. Like that. And I have another curve right there. Perfect. All right. Let's come straight down diagonally. Like that. And come in from the side. Maybe we add something there. Like that. That's not too shabby. And I'm just going to add this curve here just because I like it. All right, and maybe a little curve right there. And join those. And I'll add another angle here. That's more solid. And I like that. What do we think? It almost kind of tones down the painting a little bit. I guess I should have just picked this color when we were talking about Serene. But boy, turquoise and unbleached titanium, that is a combination I'm going to have to remember. I really like that color. It's pretty. I'm going to just clean off my brush here. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the prompts for now because I've got a really good base here. And honestly, I think I might be in the home stretch. Now, when I'm looking at this, I am thinking, one, we were very bright, but this sort of toned down turquoise has toned things down. The other thing I'm thinking is we have a very cool color palette with the turquoise, the sort of lime green, the pink. They're all very cool tones. So I'd like to add some warmth to this, but I don't want to add another bright color. And one of my favorite go-tos for adding some warmth is burnt sienna. And it's also kind of a neutral color, but it's got that sort of reddish hue to it. And it's very beautiful. And I have it in an ink, and it's a transparent color, so it will show all that detail. But before I use that, I want to come back into some of these really toned down blobs and add some more detail. And I have some of this turquoise left on my plate. So I'm going to grab my little stylus. This is from the Dollar Tree, and I use it all the time to add little dots of paint. And so I'm actually going to do that here. And I'm going to just use my stylus and add some detail back into these areas that are just very kind of faded out and very opaque. So, and I can adjust my size here and do all sorts of different things. So I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to have this come out a bit, just like that. And I love the stylus because you don't have to use much paint. And it just sort of makes the perfect little dots. And I'm going to put some kind of up here in the corner. And I'm going to try to work a little bit faster so that I don't have another, 100-minute video for you guys. Now this one, I think I'm going to make some kind of scribbly circles with my stylus like this. And just kind of go around, and it's nice because you can't really control where the paint goes. You just have what you have on the end of your tip, and that's it. So you can kind of go through and make some interesting little marks that you can't really control. Now I'm pretty much like just inside my shape here, and I don't want to lock them in like that. So I'm going to come outside a bit too. That way it looks more cohesive with the rest of my little abstract painting. I like that. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more here. and just kind of go up like that. And this gives us some more detail marks. And I'm kind of scattering these more, but having them more bunched together here at the bottom. I kind of like that look. It's almost like they're sort of exploding outward in a way. Okay, a couple more to go. And I have some of my pink dots here, so I might follow those just a little bit. And maybe I'll add a couple of little line marks here. And again, you really can't control it, so it is what it is, which is kind of nice. I'm making almost like little commas on the paper. Let's put another couple of little commas there, because we're kind of continuing on a little bit of a theme here since we have those crescents with the pink. So that's kind of neat to do that. They're very messy, which I like. And we have some white space down here, so why not? Okay. Next up, I'm going to grab my burnt sienna, get it good and mixed. And I'm going to start with a couple little drops here, and we'll just see where that takes us, and we can always add more if we want to. And I've got my little filbert brush. It's a nice soft brush, and we can do some smaller marks with this. And I might even add a little bit of water to this to even make it more transparent. But this will add a nice touch of warmth. Now I'm going to be kind of sparing with it because I do have a cool color theme, so I don't want to overpower it, but I'm going to add some contrast in some areas and maybe add a few extra marks or go over and glaze a couple of spots. So here we have our turquoise and our pink. I'm going to come in here because I think adding a little bit of contrast there would be neat, and I love how that looks. I'm going to just go over it and give it a nice even application and come right off the page here. Now since I have it in one area, I'm going to put it in just a couple of others, and I'm going to go around the top part of that circle there. And maybe a thin line there. And right here. And even that might be a little too much, but we'll see. Okay. Now for this one, I might come right down just like that and off here and there. Now, how about we do a bit of a thicker mark on this one? I'm going to make a little bit more of a shape along this black line. And I mixed a little bit with that turquoise dot, but that's okay because we're just getting messy here today. And I'm going to come and follow this shape down just like this. And maybe I'll add a couple of little lines over here and a couple of lines coming off the top. Why not? Okay. I'm going to add some squares, sort of rectangles in here. And let it just come off the page, so I'm just putting it next to those spots. And I might put one down here in the corner. Yeah. And why don't we do a little glaze here with the burnt sienna. And come just like this and make some shapes. Maybe I'll come all the way down to that shape. Why not? And let this come all the way up too. And this triangle here is kind of calling out to me. And also this. And I'm going to follow along this block pattern. Like that. I think that looks neat. All right. I might add something more here. Maybe some lines like I have in my other one. And a couple of circles too. What do you think? All right, that looks great to me. I'm going to let this dry and come right back. Okay, I'm back. We are not completely dry yet. I lost my patience. I was waiting patiently, and then all of a sudden, I was no longer patient. But what I wanted to do is add some more contrast, and I have my one thin black line that goes through everything when we were doing the minimalism prompt. And I was thinking about grabbing that giant Posca pen that I have that I used in my last video and I affectionately called Big Bertha, but I don't want to use that and go over some of these wet dots that I have here. So what I did was I grabbed my lamp black paint and I'm going to use my brush, which funny enough is almost the size of that chisel tip on the Posca pen. So I'm going to go in with this. And I have just a little bit of water mixed in with it to thin it out a slight bit, just so that I'm not just glopping on a bunch of paint. So I'm going to make some black marks, and I can get thin or thick or whatever I want to do. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to add, ooh, I kind of like that little dry brush texture. That's kind of neat. All right, I'm going to come over here and do some more. And let's do a block here. And it's funny, like you add black and it just kind of, I don't know, makes changes. Okay. And let's add kind of a thinner black mark up there. And I kind of like how there's a little bit of resistance going on with the ink that's underneath it. That's kind of a neat little effect, especially since my acrylic paint is watered down a little bit. I'm going to use the corner of my brush and kind of put a circle around these pink circles. And just be very kind of sketchy with them. And take the side of my brush and kind of go up just like that. Now I'm just playing around with my marks. I think this is kind of turning into a cool painting. So I am going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And we'll have fun with it there. All right, let me do a couple there. Now this, I think we could do a little line coming out right there and maybe coming down to meet this. Just like that. And how about a couple little marks there? What do we think? I'm trying not to close anything off or make it where it doesn't look like it belongs. I'm going to do kind of a thin mark there. And how about that? I want a little bit of a thicker line maybe coming out this way. I'm going to try to make it pretty even like that. And maybe come down and meet the end there. Like that. And let's do some more lines. I love the end of the brush, how it makes that sort of texture. And when you see the close-up, when I get everything untaped, I think you'll be able to see that texture better. It's really neat. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And add a black line next to that. And then I'm going to come in from the diagonal a bit and add that there. And maybe even kind of come down and meet this line. I'm going over the tape a little bit. So, but that dry brush is not bad. I like that effect. It's kind of funny, the things that you find. Maybe a little bit there. And I'm just going light on my brush, and it just looks neat. Okay. I think we might be good there. I don't want to add too much, but I just wanted to make sure I got some black in my painting. We got a pretty multicolored work of art going on here. But I love it. I love all the marks and everything. I think I'm going to do one more thing, and that is grab my white Uniball and add just a couple of highlights in the form of dots. Because who doesn't love white? It just adds that, again, extra bit of contrast. Let's add some in here. And maybe I can, oh, I think I like that. Going around these blue sketchy circle areas. Let's do that. Yeah, I like that. And I'll add just a couple more of these, just so it doesn't look like I just stopped doing it after 2 dots. And let me add a little bit here. And why don't we make a few bigger ones on this one? And they're kind of like sketchy little circles. And let's add a couple over here. Yeah. And let's keep doing these little curly marks. And have a couple of lines coming there. Awesome. I think we can call this done. Let's get to untaping. And this can always dry after it's untaped, no problem, right? Let's start tearing off this tape. Oh man. Let me try the other way. I gotta go slow. I get too overexcited and then my tape tears off. This is much better. Okay. Great. It does not seem to want to come off right on this side, tearing it downward. So I'll have to fix that. And I love these crisp edges that get revealed. This is looking good. This is such a fun exercise to just figure out what you love to do, what you love to see on your papers and your artwork. It's fabulous. Okay. These ones come off first. And these are already going to be cut, which makes it really nice because they'll be separated already. Ooh, we're in the home stretch. Okay. I've got just a little bit of paper tear, but that's okay. What I can do is go over it later with some paint on the side just to kind of clean it up, but most of the edge is just fine. I have heard that if you do have this happen often, which I don't really, I'm not sure why it's sticking so bad today. Usually I can tear paper or tape off just fine, but if you hit it with like a hair dryer or something, it can really help get the tape off because it warms up that glue and makes it easier to pull. But sometimes I think it's when my gesso kind of gets in that crease and it sort of glues the tape down a bit. But enough about that. Look at these little pieces of art. We did 6 paintings today, used 5 prompts, or actually 6 prompts, plus a couple extra things. So let me give you some close-ups. And these are so bright and cheerful, and it is really getting me ready for summer. And I love how these turned out, especially with these little black brush strokes and the texture where it kind of has a little bit of resist there with the ink that was down. It's great. That one has a lot more contrast. This one I think probably could have used a little bit more white. It's kind of mid-tone, but I still like it anyway. But this might be one I add some more to later. This one has lots of contrast. I love those little brush marks. You know, I kind of think of almost like a sandy beach or something with that burnt sienna on some of these. It's just sort of like very beachy, watery, just the perfect thing to get ready for summer. I love doing these little abstracts. They're just so much fun. And doing multiples at once really gets you going, and you have different art that you can look at later and figure out, okay, what do I really like about this? What do I maybe not like about it? And I really love this one. It's so geometric. And it's got all the little marks on it and the lines and the dots. I think I like that. It's the one that was looking at me. So I hope you enjoyed this video and went along with me and did some prompts. And if not, grab your stuff and take 10 minutes if you can and just do some art on whatever you have on hand with whatever supplies you have. You don't have to have a lot, just a will to create. So until next time, keep creating. Thank you for watching, and make sure to visit my website to get those prompts for yourself if you want to use them in your own artwork. Until next time, well, I already said keep creating, so bye.